Okay, it's 8 o'clock, so I'll call the meeting. Need to move the adopt council meeting agenda.
I'll move it.
I'll second if nobody will. Okay, Daryl, that's good.
Yeah, Daryl said it.
Thank you.
Opposed? Hearing none, it's carried. Adopt previous council meeting minutes.
I'll move, Ivan.
I'll second, Alvin.
Okay, Ivan and Alvin. Any opposed? Here. Carried. Go down to number 4.
Can't hear you, Louis. Sorry.
Okay, maybe I turned my volume down. No, it's up. I have June 14th finance.
I have June 1st to June 2nd FCM conference. I have June 3rd was an AMBM prize delivery, and then June 7th AMM district meeting.
I had May 31st to June 4th, the FCM, June 7th, the AMM Eastern District meeting, and then June 14th finance.
This is Larry. I had FCM June 1st to June 4th. Just to give you a bit of a report, I did run for first vice president and did not succeed, but I won for representing Manitoba on the national board. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then June 7th, AMM district meeting, and June 14th, LUD and finance, and FCM Western Caucus.
John here. June 7th, I have M. June 14th, fine.
It's Alvin. June 7, I had the AMM Eastern District meeting, and June 14, finance meeting.
Daryl here, nothing to report.
Do we still have Paul, or did he do already?
He did it
You
already.
did already.
Okay. And that's everything. Okay, then we have all the reports. Any discussion? If not, we can go to communications. Any information there Ann, that needs to...
Sorry, I'm just trying to save that presentation for the bulletin about the upcoming changes to the planning system is of importance. The operating grants, Sidem Golf Court tournament sponsorship, is council interested in that? Generally, I don't get a resolution, but we've never sponsored before. However, it is their 25th anniversary.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that.
Okay.
And,
Sponsorship. Okay.
I would also be in favor of that. Plus, I think we should have a team from Le Brocquerie to the Sedem golf tournament, because we were probably the first municipality interested in forming a bilingual municipality, and I think we should probably be there.
Okay.
I'd be in favor of that.
There is an AGM invitation for seniors June 17th, which is tomorrow. Not sure if anybody is going to attend. And then the Community Futures report, I'm assuming Deputy Reeve Normando would be talking on this.
Yeah, it's just our quarterly report that we issue out. It just gives us a breakdown of what's going on, so you guys can go if you guys want and look at it. But it's just what's going on with Community Futures and what's going on in the surrounding municipalities. So
Looks like you're busy.
Yeah. Yeah, 7.5. we got the 75% of the money came in, and 25% comes in on September.
I didn't hear that. You're breaking out.
Yeah, I don't know what's with my phone here. Maybe I got bad internet. Who knows? Am I clear now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying about the grant money. The 75% came in, and 25% comes in September. 7.6 Seine River Service for Seniors. That was always I always attended that in person. It was very good. You get to meet with a lot of the elderly people who are working with the seniors in our community here. Virtually, I imagine it won't be the same feeling, but yeah, it was always very good.
So will you be attending it, Louis?
I don't think so, no. I have a very busy week.
I'm having difficulty attaching the PowerPoint presentation. It must be quite long.
Can they read through it?
Yeah. I'm just.
We can go down to 8.1, Kokomo carrier request for quotes.
I would move that Unger Excavating get this. I will move that resolution.
I will
Okay.
second.
Okay,
And so I just want to be clear that council agrees with the gas tax reserve amount, the general reserve amount, and the land dedication reserve amount as discussed in finance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any opposed to that decision? Hearing none, it's carried. 8.2 is the resolution for the fire hall access and parking lot. And I guess the driveway widening and the culvert extension or
I
I'll
would move.
Ivan. Oh, sorry.
I'll second to accept from Unger and Armtech.
any opposed? Here none, it's carried. Then we can go to 10.1.
I'm locked up now. I can't get to my moment.
And 10.1 is a development agreement, Henry Lois Fair.
I'll move that one.
John will second.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it's carried. And I think we're done. So we can't upload it. Can we do Teresa's earlier?
Absolutely. It's just that I can't even get into AllNet now. So
Okay.
when
He had offered to read it, I guess.
I can totally do that too anyway.
After
Okay.
this. No more than 15.
Welcome here.
Good morning. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I still blame my dog.
Yeah.
Hi, Wendy.
Yeah, the dogs are still nice to have around.
Well, I keep the bears out, so I'm good.
Yeah.
Bears, neighbors, you know. Sorry. Oops.
so
Okay.
so Reeve Weiss, may I just let Teresa know that there is another delegation at 8:30.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So she gets 5 extra minutes.
Woo! Thanks very much for having us here, considering all the crazy. Certainly, so what I'll do is I'll read through, and then if you've got questions, please feel free. That's exactly why we're here today, so that we can share information, so that we make sure that, you know, those questions, whatever they are, please feel free to field them. So I'm just going to carry on and go back in here, and we're going to start with, so today, of course, we're here to talk about the Modernization Act, Bill 64, and that's really become a wildfire through Manitoba. We have met with several RMs, some MLAs as well as our parent advisory councils, to see where, you know, let them know what we feel, as well as the feedback that we're getting back from other opportunities as well, because it's really become something. You'll see signage out there. MTS has slammed the door on 64, and there's Liberal signs. There's also NDP signs. This has become quite the big chatter, and I'm really glad. Like, you know, I've been a trustee for 23 years, and I got to tell you, I've never seen any reaction like this. So without further ado, what we believe is that Bill 64 will, well, first of all, we know they're looking to abolish the 36 divisions in Manitoba. They look to retain the DSFM because it's protected under the minority language rights, but they will only retain one seat. So that doesn't mean that when they look to change this provincial education authority, these people will be appointed by cabinet. So it's not an elected voice from our area. It's whoever they feel is going to do the right job, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they are in the best choice for an education position. They will establish, what they would like to do is establish 15 regional regions, and also, again, they will appoint a director of education. So again, not somebody who necessarily is attuned with what the needs of the rural kids are. They could be from Winnipeg, and, you know, that's the way it's going to be. They would like to establish a volunteer school community council in every school. And I don't know if any of you have sat on a parent advisory committee before, but it's tough to get volunteers for those. I can't even imagine how they're going to stack this one. And they wish to establish a provincial advisory board on education. Again, we've no information as to what that's going to look like. What we believe and what we have designed in Seine River is we believe that, you know, Bill 64 is not going to continue to let the homegrown stuff that we have in Seine River that's very beneficial. So we're not assured that there's going to be any local decision making for Seine River. For example, we have the Kids at Play program, which is a full day kindergarten, but the first piece is regular schooling, and the second piece is intentional learning through play. So we know that which we've established and provincially has been recognized, we really doubt that will be continued. We question what they're going to do with our busing from K to 4. Presently, we provide busing beyond the provincial requirement. So what they pay us for, we actually go over and above and beyond that because we have so many rural students. We presently pay for the band instrument rental for our band program, where it's compulsory. We believe that learning through music can really help our students, and it gives them another option as well. We pay for that great cost. We've removed our student fees for outings and journals and such like that. You know, additionally, stacking money onto parents who sometimes now, especially now, can't afford stuff like that. It's really something that we felt very strongly about. We also have a $3,000 a year grounds improvement grant, which allows the schools to put it towards whatever they choose to do. In past, they've used it for grounds improvement, but most of the time what they do is they stack it up year by year by year, and they save it so that they can pay for their playground equipment, because I mean, that's like ridiculously amounts of money. We, of course, we make it our daily doings to ensure equity for all students. So no matter where you are on the learning scale, you're having help along the way. And we're very concerned that things like EAs and such may not necessarily be their first importance, right? And then we also put additional dollars into the classrooms to improve learning outcomes for our students. Greater recovery, we've got our Lola program, we have so many different things that we're very concerned that once it's centralized, that whether there's a trustee there or not, we are concerned about what comes next, of course. So what can you do to help us as a municipal councillor? Well, we're really looking for people to write the Minister of Education. We want you to write your MLAs if you feel the need to express your concerns. We're here, we're talking to you guys, but we're also saying, can you get some support from AMM, excuse me, and see if you would have people like-minded who might feel that this isn't the right way to go about things. Tell your community. I mean, in the schools is where we are, but you know, beyond that, we're looking for support locally as well, right? And then as an individual, of course, you can write the Minister of Education, you can write your MLA, write the newspaper telling them, you know, if you feel that local school trustees are worthy of support, then we're looking for that support. I can tell you that my local MLA won't even answer me back. I've written him 3 times, stopped into his office. The parents from my schools are telling me that he is not answering back either. So it's become a little bit difficult that way. If you have any, you know, we want to thank you so much for your time. And have you got any questions?
Well, there'd be a lot of questions. Our thing is, we don't know, or I personally feel I don't know where this is going. Is this a thing to just save a lot of money? I'm not sure what their plan is.
That's a lot of the problem.
If not willing to talk to you, how will you ever find out?
Well, the implementation of this E64, Bill 64, quite interesting. The timing of it. I'm totally in favor of writing the AMM. Because, I mean, there's so many other questions in regards to, let's say, special needs. Will there be, you know, will there be something there to accomplish? And just because for St. River, will it be good for Hanover, for example? Sort of a generic over the entire thing. There'll be one set rule, and this is sort of the way it will go. And I can't, you know, do changes need to be made? Yes, changes do need to be made, but this is not the way to go about it.
Another thing to mention, maybe this isn't the time, but Labroquerie is growing leaps and bounds, and we really need a K-12 English school. And we feel a big part of the reason why we lost our High Life head office is because we did K-12. That was one of the big questions a number of years ago of the partners of High Life. When will you be getting K-12 in English school? Workers move into our community, but they're not going to move into a community where there's no school. And, I feel we really dropped the ball on that one.
That's helpful for us for sure.
So.
Yeah, if I could jump in there, we definitely were very disappointed when the province decided not to build the K-12 school. We're very thankful for what we did get, because our brigade is a a really beautiful school. But it certainly is still on our radar to have a K-12 school in La Broquerie. So, you know, we're very much in agreement with you and wish we could get it, but it's probably down on their priority list right now, because all of the province has announced, I think, the building of 10 new schools, but that was not on the list in the province.
Yeah, it seems like the whole vision of the province has been very poor over the last while. Like, they rebuilt the regional secondary school in Steinbach, and this school was large enough to take in students from a huge area, and now they build onto it, and they don't even build onto it big enough to, you know, resume what their original plan was. Kind of disappointing to see the lack of vision. It's like they believe there's not going to be as many students in the future.
Well, I guess you guys know what's coming your way as far as growth, and they won't build to growth, right? That's a big problem for us. We know what's coming.
Yeah.
And we are the anomaly in the east end of the province, but like you're right, the vision just seems to not be, you want people to come and live in Manitoba and you want them to work here. Well, they need to live somewhere. Their kids need to go somewhere to school. And I don't understand. We've been all but begging for a new school in this end, I'm sure, since I've been on the board. I don't know if you guys were able to attend our town hall in April, but we definitely had very good turnout Zoom-wise for that. And it was really a good opportunity to get, you know, some really good questions, some really good answers. And this was parents, and we were able to also Zoom attend one that was done by Louis Riella and their students, and are speaking out as well. So, I mean, it's not just us poor trustees looking to lose a job. This is something so much more than us griping about that, right? Like, this has become, you're not listening once again, just like in healthcare. And it's frustrating because we don't seem to be getting those answers that we were hoping for as well, right? Like, I'm all for change that benefits a student no matter what, if that loses a job, on my behalf. But we're not going to, I mean, I'm losing my voice as well as everybody else when I say I get to send somebody to represent me, that when I've got a concern, I can go to and say, hey, like, how come? We're not going to have that anymore. And we're really interactive with our parent advisory councils. We go to those meetings even now by Zoom. So, I mean, it's really become quite frustrating to lose a voice that we've watched develop so wonderfully for the students of Seine River. And the things that are being put in, like, outside looking in, I'm, you know, like, I'm a healthcare worker now, and I just don't understand, like you said, that lack of vision for keeping the kids current and making sure that they have the supports in place. And we want to be, you know, they make all of these judgments. I should watch my mouth and my time, making all of how we don't interact world-wise, and yet you're going to go and monkey with something that, yeah, needs some tweaking, needs some improvement. That's always, but you're going to rip it apart. I don't understand that. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I just want to say I agree with Councillor Letman. Definitely, we need to approach our MLA and the powers that be, and you know, make our voices heard.
That's awesome. La Broquerie also put a resolution into play as well, so that was helpful.
Tashi.
Oh, excuse me, Tashi. Thanks. Sorry, Wendy. Just FYI.
Good.
Would we be able to draft something up for next meeting and maybe for resolution?
Excuse me, there is one already sent from Teresa, so I can put it on the next agenda.
Okay, perfect.
That'd be awesome.
Actually, it is attached right now to the agenda if you wanted to look at it. You'll have to refresh your agendas though. I can read it if you want. If that would.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be good.
All right, one moment, please. Whereas, excuse me, whereas school boards are an important part of Canada's political landscape, and whereas school boards offer communities, one moment, I just have to admit somebody, I'm sorry. Otherwise, okay, that's the, sorry, folks. And whereas school boards offer communities the opportunity to engage directly with representatives and to participate in setting a vision for education, communities can advocate for their educational values and can hold the representatives directly accountable for student achievement and a focus on equity. And whereas school boards reflect the values of the immediate community and usually reflect the populations they serve, their operations are transparent, and through community involvement and open dialogue, they can build the trust that is necessary for good governance. And whereas the province of Manitoba's proposed Bill 64 will eliminate school boards and the critical role they play in local voice and our community's democratic participation in public education, therefore be it resolved, the Rural Municipality of the Council of the Rural Municipality of Labroquerie opposes the province of Manitoba's plans within Bill 64 to remove local democratic accountability for public education. It urges the government to amend Bill 64 so that its legislation will maintain the right of the community to democracy, elect its local school boards such as the Seine River School Division. And I have to admit some people.
Okay.
Well, that sounds good.
So if council is okay with that, I can put that after you're done with the delegations, and I can add it if you want to do the resolution now, since I have only received it this morning, or I can wait until tomorrow or till the next meeting.
We could vote on it right away.
Yep, we sure could.
So we'll do that after the next delegation then?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, good. Was there anything else?
No, just thank you very much for your time and listening to our concerns. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you for your time, willingness to come and share your concerns.
And thanks for everything you do for our kids.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Bye.
Yeah, see you both.
Have a
Bye.
great day.
Stay safe.
Yes, you too.
So Reeve Weiss, the other delegation is now here.
Well, Landmark Planning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
What's on your mind?
Okay, yeah, we could get right to it. Thank you, Reeve and councilors.
I'll just, Donovan, hang on. I've just let council know I have attached it on the agenda, what they're discussing.
Perfect. Thanks so much. We also have a presentation that we can run through. Normally, I've been delivering this presentation in about 25 minutes. I understand we should go a little quicker. We'll keep it below 15 minutes in the interest of time for council. I know you've got a busy agenda. I'm here with Jeff Pratt and Choi Ho as well. And on our team, I'm not sure I'm seeing everybody, but also folks from Friesen Drillers, Jeff Bell and Pauline Estrella Legal. As I said, I'll run through this in about 15 minutes. It's fairly straightforward. Water project, we haven't really gotten off the ground yet. This is an introductory meeting or presentation rather to share with council, just to let everybody know what we'd like to do for the Arm of Reshop. So Choi, I think we'll start in, and I'll zip through. There's some slides that I'll skip again in the interest of time, or I'll just summarize very quickly for council so that there's a little bit of time for questions or comments. Everything okay, Reeve?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Awesome, we'll keep going. And I see Jeff Bell from Friesen Drillers is just joining us now. So yeah, like every, well, not every, but many RMs, there's a need for water. I guess every RM has a need for water, and each RM gets it in a different way. In the arm of Reshot, that they've had some wells that have served them very well over the last number of decades, but planning for the future and thinking about their growth in the area that they're in, they need to continue planning, making sure that they have a reliable and sustainable source of water, while learning to conserve more water along the way. We're working with Friesen Drillers, as I mentioned, the RM, Reshot, and the Manitoba Water Services Board in this particular project. As you may appreciate, the Manitoba Water Services Board is a group that assists RMs with water projects and often with funding as well. The last bullet there, just a reminder for all of us, I guess, that water is a provincial resource. Either you may say either owned by all of us or owned by none of us, but certainly regulated by the province to help ensure that things are done sustainably. So if the municipality is looking for new or additional water supplies, then an Environment Act license is required, as well as a water rights license. So the next, I'm not going to touch too heavily on the next, I think, 6 or 7 slides. I'll leave the presentation with council. If you guys should do some evening reading or whatnot, you can certainly go into it in more detail if you like. But essentially, they tell the story that this particular RM of Reshot is growing, both in terms of population and in terms of commercial and industrial operations, which is a great story as far as they're concerned in terms of great economic development and becoming a significant place for people to live, work, and play. So we'll just skip maybe Choi through the next few slides. I'll say 1 or 2 things on each and we'll go fairly quickly. So the population is rising. You can see that chart says 22% growth between 2001 to 2016, compared to Manitoba in that last bullet there, 5.8%, and national average of 5%. So some significant growth. Lots of industries. This chart is Statistics Canada breakdown of all the industries that exist in the RM. They all need water in one form or another, or in one quantity or another. I won't touch on this one. Again, you can feel free to review afterwards if you like, but it talks about the industrial growth in the RM. And this one highlights the building permits. It sort of reflects that population and industrial growth and also growing. And lastly, on the topic, some councillors may be familiar with a dike that was built around St. Adolphe, which enabled the planning of a new community, and which results in more folks living there and everybody needing a reliable source of water. So what about that water? Where's it coming from now? This chart shows the 2 big blue arrows pointing at 2 small dots. The 2 dots are the 2 wells that water comes from and is piped throughout the municipality. The one on the left, or the west, that's inside that red boundary, is the PR 305 well field. And the one on the right, or the east, is the Randolph Road well field. And we've got a bit of a story about that Randolph Road well in the subsequent slides. We'll pass this one. It just details what's exactly on those sites. There's 12-inch wells on one and 8-inch wells on the other. So then our normal work, when Friesen Drillers and ourselves have worked on quite a number of water projects over the last 5 or 6 years. But essentially, we want to do a lot of scientific research, do our due diligence, make sure that we're communicating properly throughout the process, and really bring a professional, diligent level to the work that's done. In terms of that Randolph Road well field, it's kind of interesting. I think we'll zip Choi to the slide that shows the interventions for the Randolph. Keep going. One more. Yeah, back one. That one, yeah. So this well, we're actually looking at the cross section in the ground. If you were facing, you're in the ground looking north towards Hudson Bay, you'd see the Red River on the far left of this drawing, the Ontario border on the far right. under the ground. And this is a similar explanation when we were at your council for the East Region Water Co-op a while ago. We shared a slide just like this explaining the hydrogeology under the ground. So again, if you're looking north here, you've got layers of earth, if you will, the clay layer at the top, till layer next to that, and then you get into the carbonate aquifer. And we explained sort of last time, and maybe not all council was at that presentation, we explained that, you know, when we're talking aquifers, we're not always talking about a contained aquifer or a bathtub or a cavern under the ground. There are aquifers like that, but in this area, it's nothing like that really. These layers exist from south of the US border all the way north past Lake Winnipeg, a very, very, very large area. And if you can picture a stack of blocks, you know, a big limestone blocks, if you will, it's essentially like that in that carbonate aquifer layer. The water exists in the fissures and cracks between those rocks. Below that carbonate aquifer layer is a thin layer of shale that separates that carbonate aquifer layer from the sandstone aquifer. Sandstone is essentially conglomerated sand. If you can imagine sand in a jar, it could still be full of water. And that's sort of what you have in that sandstone aquifer. And so those two layers exist a long way. The canals that were built in that southeast, maybe just flash that one up. It's the previous slide, Choi, and then we'll come back to this one. Those canals, of course, were used to help drain the land for agricultural purposes and to help mitigate flooding and so forth. One of those canals continued to rupture. The bottom was blown out because there was pressure in the aquifer. So if you can go again to the next slide. The pressure in the aquifer kept punching out the canal. So what they did a couple decades back is they drilled these two relief wells to relieve the pressure on the aquifer, lower that pressure, and so that the canal could operate properly. But interestingly, you know, the water coming out of those wells just kept flowing was wasted, flowed all the way up to Hudson Bay. So rather than have it wasted, the RM asked for a license to use that water, and it's been working very, very well. Now, the water levels in the region have been dropping little by little, and not in an emergency or urgent even way, but in a consistent way. Year to year, they can go up and down, but over time, these two dashed lines at the top show that that water pressure level has dropped. So, and hence now the RM is looking for ways to either pump that one Randolph well, because it used to be flowing. Now it's just static. There's lots of water, but it's not coming out of the ground. So maybe install a pump or look a little further afield for more alternate sources. And then this slide just shows over time the province tracks water levels in different areas throughout the province. This chart shows from the 1980 to 2021 current, just that variance from year to year and from season to season. You can see the lines going up and down, but since 2000, a steady decrease in the groundwater levels in a nearby location. So that's a bit of a study area. We don't really need to go this far, we feel, from the RM, but it's the area that we'd like to communicate with. I mean, Le Brokery, you're a long way away from Richat, relatively speaking, but we would just like to ensure there's good communication rather than rumors going around and it being the wrong information. So we're here to keep you in the loop. We don't anticipate any sort of physical disruption. And overall in the project, even for neighbors nearby, we've got a very diligent plan to ensure that existing water supplies, existing wells would not be impacted by any new wells. And there's an obligation legally to not have that occur. So lots of stakeholders in the area, as you can imagine. The more you look, the more you realize that everybody's interested in water, and everybody seems to not, want to have their water supply, disrupted. And again, when I use the words "their water supply," I use it cautiously because it's a provincially held resource. Often, RMs have the feeling that the water, under the ground or in the RM belongs to the RM. It isn't quite the case yet. We do need to be respectful of those boundaries and work together. And I think that working together is a big theme that's coming out. certainly the East Region Water Co-op, the concept is to work together for that one resource, but that's a different project. We're just working on Resho's needs currently. That's our process. I won't go through all these slides, all these boxes, but the green boxes are essentially our list of due diligence or science. Includes asking for a permit to test, then running tests, then analyzing things locally and things far away. That would lead us up to that first yellow circle. Is a supply sustainable? And if not, then there wouldn't be we wouldn't proceed. If there is potential for it to be sustainable and adequate, then Friesen Drillers would prepare an environmental assessment report. It would summarize things for the province to have a look at, and then we would submit a license application down the line. So up until that second yellow circle, there is no project. Nothing is happening until that due diligence is done and the regulators agree that that due diligence is satisfactory. And then nearing the end here, we included this slide just to reiterate that water is highly protected asset, and it's highly regulated by all of these acts: the Public Health Act, the Drinking Water Safety Act, the Water Rights Act, the Drinking Water Safety Regulations, Environment Act, and two respects. So it's tightly regulated, and we want to ensure that we're following those regulations to the letter. So that's it. Our next steps are to continue meeting with the stakeholders on the list that we showed. If we get to a field testing phase, we will be in any testing location, we'll be working with landowners within 1 mile or 2 miles of that testing site, talking to individuals, putting measuring devices in local wells and so forth. And then we want to come back, if you'll have us, and share those results and keep you in the loop. So again, even though you're a long distance away, our usual process is to let everybody know what's going on, so there's no misinformation. So with that, I'll turn it back to council for any questions or comments.
Thanks for your short presentation. Always appreciate it, but it was very informative. I personally wasn't aware that you guys were pumping water, so that was an interesting thing to see. I guess one of my questions I feel is very much related. Is your group working at all on Vivian silica sand up there? Because to me, that's a big threat against the quality of the water for the future.
Yeah, everybody's got their, somebody, if I could get, whoever's mic is, somebody's outside in the wind, and it's quite, there we go. No, Landmark is not working on that project. We are keeping our ear very closely to the ground on it. I think the big message there for us and for everybody is we don't know what is the science. We want to see what their science shows. It hasn't been shared with us. I think, if I'm not mistaken, if Friesen Drillers can speak up here, have you had any involvement of late in that project?
Hi, Donovan. It's Jeff from Friesen Drillers. Yeah, I guess this sandstone question has been coming up, repeatedly. We have done some test drilling for them in the last 4 or 5 years, on and off. They did ask us to do the technical work for them, but we declined that offer. That's just not the type of work that we typically do, so we've directed them to somebody else. They've also brought in other drillers at times to do other work for them. So we really don't know what their plans are because they haven't submitted anything yet, and they haven't issued any sort of reports or anything for us to look at or to comment on or anything. So we really don't know what their plans are, if they're going to make a submission at all. So that's the best I can say, is we just have to be patient until that happens.
Okay, thanks, Jeff.
Mr. Riva, I have a question, Councillor Tatro.
Yes.
Donovan, maybe I missed it, but where is that the new wells being dug, if they are?
Yeah, so we're not there yet, Councillor Tetro. Yeah, we're at the very beginning. So there's a couple options though. One of them, my presentation included a reference to that Randolph Road well field site. that was a flowing well, as I described, meaning it just was coming out of the ground because of the ground pressure. It still looks like a possible supply source if a pump was added to it. So that will be one of the options, but we will look at other options. So they're not identified yet.
And just for a bit of history, I was at the years ago when Hanover decided to share some of the water with Richat. I was at the ribbon cutting ceremonies with Reeve Aaron Friesen, and in his speech he said that he was happy to share our wealth with Richat. So I'll never forget that.
Okay, yeah, that's an interesting phraseology.
Any other questions? Yeah, water is a very big concern and should be for everybody around the world. And that's was kind of the reason why I mentioned the Vivian idea there. I know when you're drilling there, Jeff, do you guys get to see what's coming out? Is in the test holes, is there lithium coming out in the tests, or are you not sure what's coming out?
The one thing that always is present with mining is mining people, as a rule, traditionally are very secretive about what they're trying to do or what they're trying to accomplish. So they came to us early on and asked a lot of technical questions about the sandstone, and we gave them a lot of old reports and a lot of information, but they really didn't tell us anything of what they were doing. To this day, we still don't necessarily know what their plans are, or what they're looking for, or what they're testing for. Our crews are basically out there to complete the construction according to how they want it constructed. They're taking out their own permits. They take out their own engineering approvals. Our crews are just there basically to carry out the construction as per their wishes. So we really don't know what they're testing for, or what they're looking for, or the constituents of what they found, or anything. We have no comment. We just don't know anything on that front.
Yeah, with all the electric cars proposed for our future, lithium mining is a very profitable business. So I'm questioning a little bit. Silica sand is relatively inexpensive, so it seems strange they'd be jumping after silica sand when lithium is really a lucrative business for the future. So,
Reeve Weiss, I have a question of the delegation.
good, yeah.
Donovan, it's Anne. Just wondering, do you require any resolution of council for this project, or is this just a presentation at this time?
It's just a presentation, and thanks for asking. Our main objective is to make sure the lines of communication are open. Of course, like any project, you can agree to disagree if that were the case, but we're not asking for a resolution of council.
Okay, so you'll let me know if you do require one then in the future?
I for sure will, yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I think our, overall, like with this Reshot project, it's an abundance of diligence is how we would like to characterize it. You can appreciate things being at such a distance that there's highly unlikely possibility of interaction in groundwater between here and there, where you are and where they are. But as I said, it can never hurt to fill in the blanks. The can white thing to me is a great example of when you don't know exactly what's going on, then there's a bunch of theories that come out, and it's that problem of communication that doesn't help things. So we would like to not have that situation. We would like to just be open and share the science, share the results, and then that gives us all something to talk about.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, if that's all there is, then thank you both, Jeff, for talking with us and giving us the information.
Very good, and thank you, Reeve and councillors. Again, we are looking for feedback. If there were concerns, we would like to have those in our record, because the concerns, it's the same thing. If we know what they are, we can do something about it. If we don't, there's not much we can do. So we would appreciate if council, especially upon reflection, has concerns that you would make them known to us. In the absence of hearing that, we would assume there are none. But we will be back, so we can certainly chat then.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, have a good day.
Thank you, Anne.
And had you added that resolution with the school board?
I haven't added it, but I can do it after, but because I have read it, it's on record. Voice.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, can we discuss that after in camera?
Yes. Definitely. Okay, so we have some in camera, then 13, I need a mover and a second to go into camera.
I'll move.
I'll
Larry?
move. I'll second, Paul.
Any opposed? Hearing nothing, fire bell, we're in camera. Carried. You got the recording off?